Daily Earth Agri Spray drones. Spray season is just around the corner, if not already upon us. And new operators and current operators need to know about parameter settings, how to set parameters for the best swath, best penetration, and maybe efficiency. What does all that mean? How do they work together? So let's go through all these parameters, actually show you what it looks like changing parameters, how the crop responds, how the pattern responds, and how you can actually test this yourself, just doing what we're doing right now. Let's get to it. First thing we want to test is actually going to be speed. Now, speed's a measure of efficiency, but also penetration. So right now you're seeing that swath and the canopy disturbance at 30 miles per hour. Now, what do I mean by canopy disturbance? I mean actually how much that wind, that force, the prop wash affects the canopy, so the corn canopy. This corn's short, it's only about at V7, but you can do this on grass, you can do this on any crop that's got a decent amount of canopy or height to it. You can test different speeds. That was 30 miles per hour. Let's do 25 now. Now here's 25 miles per hour. Notice the corn canopy is going to move a lot more for a lot longer the slower you go. So you might be less efficient, but you're also getting better penetration. The more that canopy disrupts or moves, then the more you're going to cover both sides of the leaves more effectively. All right, let's lower it down some more. All right, now we're gonna do 20 miles per hour. All things else are the same. This speed actually is the same speed that the Agri P40 and P50 used to be limited at. You can see we still have a lot more canopy disruption than we had at 25 or 30. All right, let's bump it up or down. Now you notice on my screen here, I actually changed it to miles per hour instead of feet per second during the battery swap. You can do that in the settings. Some people like to do feet per second, some people like to do miles per hour. All right, this is 15 miles per hour. This used to be the top speed of the old Agri T20 and T30. But look at that canopy disruption, look at that penetration. That swath is basically going straight down, not really coming out the back of the drone that far. This can provide really good penetration, but you're sacrificing efficiency whenever you do this. Now, probably not going to show any slower than 50 miles per hour because I don't know of anybody spraying slower than that these days unless you're doing really high volumes, which you're limiting your pump by your pump capacity doing really high volumes. So you saw how speed affects canopy penetration and canopy disruption. Slower you go, the better penetration, the better disruption you have, the better product efficacy you might have, the further you might drive it down in through the crop canopy, but you're sacrificing something. You're sacrificing efficiency. Obviously, the slower you go, the less acres you get covered per hour. Less acres you might get covered per tank because you might not be able to empty out your entire tank if you're flying at a low volume, 2-gallon rate, 3-gallon rate at a low speed like 15 miles per hour. You're also sacrificing route spacing or swath width potentially. Now, that's one parameter we're not going to cover too much in this because swath width and route spacing are actually a result of multiple factors, not just speed. Speed, height, micron size, product, wind direction, and everything really go into your route spacing or swath width. All right, now we're going to show the differences in height as it relates to swath width, but also how that pattern moves and how the canopy moves or disrupts underneath the drone as the drone flies from low to high. And one thing I want to show you on the remote here is we have 30 miles per hour selected and 9-foot height above our canopy, whatever it sees below it, either canopy or ground, whatever it sees below it. Now, if I bump that down to 8 feet, now my max speed is 17 miles per hour because basically we have to give that drone time if we have hills, any type of terrain, and you're flying that low to the crop, then it just needs a bit more time to react to the terrain. So anything below 9 feet, you have to lower your speed. So we're going to show 10 feet, and then 12, and then 16 feet. It's going to be kind of the three main heights, or in between there, where most guys operate, especially in row crop. We're going to do all this at 30 miles per hour and 30 microns, and then 4 gallons per acre, so we can see the pattern a bit better. Okay, 30 miles per hour, 10 feet high, 300 microns. Let's see how this looks. That looks good. There's a reason we do a lot of 10 feet high application, because it looks so good. That's just enough time for that rotor wash and the atomizers to actually spread out, but also not too high to where you get a lot of drift. Now, we didn't have a ton of crosswind where we did that, so that did help our drift, but 10 feet looks really good on the J150. Now we're gonna do 12 feet, same parameters otherwise. It's just a bit higher, 2 feet higher. Now, one thing you wanna check whenever you're setting your height is obviously check visually, but also check your screen, because our height's actually reading about 10 to 11 right now. So sometimes when you set it to 12 or set it to 10, it might be a little bit low or a little bit high, just kind of depending on what the canopy is like, how it's seeing the ground or seeing the canopy. So if you actually want 10 or actually want 12, then set it there and see what it's actually doing in the field based on our height at the bottom of the screen, and then you can actually adjust it on the left-hand side of the screen in real time. 12 feet looks about the same as 10 feet. You know, we will do a lot of 12 feet flying, especially if we have fields with a lot of slope or a lot of terraces, because again, you fly higher, and that does give the drone a bit more time to react to terrain changes. Okay, we're going 16 now. Okay, here's 16 feet. It looks a lot higher than those other two passes, just visually looking at it. Our canopy is not moving at all under the drone. And those droplets are releasing very high, especially as it comes to the end of that field. Now, luckily, we don't have a lot of wind right now. Had we have a lot of wind, that 16-foot height, that's gonna move those droplets, even at 300 microns, really far. That's an extra 6 feet over 10 feet. Doesn't sound like a lot, but visually just looking at that right now, standing this close to the drone, which I rarely ever do whenever I'm doing this, I can tell you, you're gonna have a lot more drift, a lot less canopy penetration at 16 feet. So height, we saw that 10 feet, 12 feet look really good. We still have canopy disruption even at 30 miles per hour, even with a half full tank, and the pattern looks great. Not as much room for error or drift. 16 feet, whenever you're doing a liquid application, that is, you want to be careful there, because it opens you up a lot to drift. Those droplets begin to exit out of that vortex, out of that downforce of the drone. And if you have crosswind or any kind of wind, it's going to carry that a lot further than if you were doing it 10 or 12 feet. Now, this is obviously also something to consider when you have terrain challenges too, because you may not want to run at 30 miles per hour and 10 feet high. If you have very hilly slopes, you may bump it up just a little bit at 12 feet high. We've done some heavy terrace flying with a video on that, where we flew terraces actually at 40 miles per hour and 12 feet high. So the J150 is capable of doing a lot of terrain, challenging terrain, but you may bump it to 12 instead of 10, 16, be careful. Next parameter I want to show you guys is micron size. One of the bigger questions people have is what micron size should I run, now that it's just as simple as clicking a button and changing your microns. That changes the speed of those discs. The lower the speed, the bigger the micron, the higher the speed, the smaller the micron. Now, wind is probably the biggest factor when it comes to selecting a micron size, but also product, crop, penetration you want to have, and swath width. So we're going to try to show you what the differences look like with a light crosswind going from 100 to 500 microns. This is 12 feet high, a 4-gallon rate, 30 miles per hour, and 100 microns. Pretty small, not something we typically use for field work or row crop work. You can see those droplets are hanging in the air for a long time behind the drone. They're able to drift further to the left and further to the right with that very, very light crosswind. Okay, we'll bump it up to 200 microns, do the same exact thing. 200 microns, these discs are spinning just a little bit slower. We still have fines hanging in the air, although not quite as many as last time. I see some drift actually still coming. I actually felt some that time. It doesn't take very much crosswind when you have 200 to 300 to 100 microns to drift off target, which can be a bad deal. All right, here's 300 microns. Everything else is the same. Yeah, and visually I'm already seeing we have a lot less fines, although I still see, we still got a little bit in the face. We had some wind just pick up and still see some drifting across there. Even at 300 microns, we still have fines, but it's not hanging in the air nearly as long as it was at 100 or 200 microns. All right, here's 400 microns. Everything else is the same. We do actually have a bit more crosswind now than we had at 100 microns. We'll probably still see a little bit of drift, but we won't see it hang in the air as long. Yeah, it's hanging in the air a lot less time. We still see some drift coming over. That's just because our wind is picked up. You can see as it comes to the end there, it's just falling to the ground instead of hanging in the air for multiple seconds. And lastly, 500 microns, which is the largest you can make your microns on the J150. The slowest those discs can go currently. Yeah, and we're basically seeing much bigger droplets hanging in the air, much less time. It's a little bit unfair because to the 100 micron, because it actually looked really good because we had 0 wind at 100 microns. Was everything else, we had a little bit of wind. We felt with wind, the least amount of droplets come over and hit us. And obviously they stayed in the air the least amount of time. So 500 microns is exactly what you need to run if you have really that much wind at all and you're spraying something that may be a bit sensitive for off-target movement. But keep in mind, your droplet size is not just a matter of whether or not it's going to stay on target or off target with wind, but also how much penetration you're going to have, how many droplets you get on the plant. 500 microns, you get bigger droplets, but you get fewer of them. 100 microns, you get a lot smaller droplets, but way more of them. So things like insecticide may be actually better at 100 microns. If you're spraying at night, or there's no wind and no evaporation, or very little wind or evaporation, it may be better at 100 or 200 microns. During the day, you might want larger droplets, less susceptible to evaporation, and less susceptible to wind. But all that stuff that we just talked about, speed, direction, height, microns, all of that affects your swath. So you change one parameter and it's going to change or affect another parameter, much of that boiling down to the most highly contested of all the parameters, which is route spacing or swath width. Now, we can't really film that out here. We can't actually just fly the drone back and forth on camera and tell you what that swath width is, just spraying water. We actually do a lot of testing. We have over 60 string tests on the J150. So let's take a look at a few of those and what that actually does to your swath width. We're back in the office now. I was going to use my laptop and pull up our swath testing data so you guys know how height, speed, micron size, and other factors affect your swath, which is one of the biggest parameters that you want to pay attention to. But we actually have our ASD GPT, or our AI, that searches our Knowledge Hub. Everything on our Knowledge Hub is searchable on our AI and can give you very quick access to information at ai.agrispraydrones.com or at ASD GPT on the app or Google Play Store. And click on that. We'll just type in show me J150 swath testing. See what it pulls up. So swath testing is very complex, and apparently our AI is smart enough not to actually tell you what swath you should be running, but actually give you access to the information. So we have a walkthrough video to show you exactly how to read that. You click on that link and it'll take you to the YouTube video. We've got the PDF data for the J150, and you can actually get to our knowledge of articles right here and how to switch between 2 and 4 nozzles. So we'll click on that PDF data right there, and that should pull it up in docs just like that. And so here we actually have all of the swath testing results, 1 through 42 of the J150 for the first time in September of 2025 when we tested it. On the second tab down here, we've got results from this April. We tested J150 and J70 as well. basically testing it with different parameters, 500 microns, faster speeds, but also redoing some parameters to make sure that they stay the same. If you're looking at this, each of these test numbers in blue on the left-hand side, it's going to be a different test, 3 replications per test at a specific setting. So the settings would be number of nozzles, application rate, speed in miles per hour and feet per second there, height over the string, route spacing, and micron size. And of course, volume in the tank, which isn't something you can control, but it does affect your swath. Try to keep everything about 10 gallons in the tank, about half load. And then on the right-hand side, we can see what the CV is at each of those parameters. The lower the number, the better. Anything 10 or under in this column, very good. So you should be able to trust the data. If it says 30, 34 right there on some of these, that should be very good data. In the middle, 15%, that's still considered good CV. And then 20% CV is considered acceptable. But if you have a little bit of wind, maybe don't run 20% CV swath. And these CV results here in these columns, these are actually, it would be at that CV or lower. So we find one here. This will be test number 2 on the recent one. This was done at a faster speed of 400 microns right there. We can see 37 feet at 15%. We can click on the PDF right there, and that'll actually pull up the actual raw data from the tests. We use a third party to do these tests for us. It's a string test where we spray dye with a string, and so those lines there are the concentration of the dye on the string. But the biggest piece of information to get is down here in the far right corner, which is actually that full CV chart. You want to use that CVBF right over there for back and forth, which is how you spray back and forth. And you can see 36 feet, we have 12% CV. So that would be a very acceptable CV for most operators to want to run. But of course, this is up to you, right? If you're running that parameter set, that specific parameter set right here, then look at those test results and then make your decision on what you want to use based on the CV. That's how you read swath testing. That's how you do a good job application. All right, guys, I think we covered about every parameter there is. Hopefully you got some good information here ahead of spray season. If you have questions, let us know. See ya.